Yeah, thanks, Matthew. I mean, at Safe Landing, we're a global community of both aviation workers and enthusiasts, and we really feel that we need to put workers in the driving seat because we think the short-term thinking of board members and politicians is ultimately a major risk to aviation workers. You know, it wasn't so long ago at Luton, we had 40 degrees in the UK and the runway was melting. We've had several international airports underwater due to flash flooding and wildfires around the airports themselves. San Francisco about to spend $1 billion on flood defences due to rising sea levels. So clearly, climate breakdown is here and it's accelerating. If we're serious about growth in our sector and preserving the long-term careers of workers, then we need to be looking at, I personally believe, a more distributed regional network of the sort of technology that's going to be available in 5 or 10 years' time, like electric or hybrid electric aircraft, which instead of just going in one sector to Spain, you might take an additional hop to get there, if you like. But, you know, we need to decelerate our lives and we could actually create more jobs.
And decentralise air travel from London and the South East.
Absolutely, Matthew. You know, you live in Devon. You could go to your local airport, hop on an aircraft which has a much shorter range because the technology is not there for long haul yet, and essentially just get to Spain in probably the same, if not quicker time than you would have done if you've had to commute up to Heathrow.
Why am I feeling so uncomfortable about reading about massive foreign investment coming into our airport? I'm just mindful of water companies are all now owned by foreign investors who clearly don't have UK consumers' best interests at heart. I mean, that's clear for all to see. And am I worrying unnecessarily that this sounds like more of the same?
Well, I think workers should generally be worried because what we saw during the pandemic is millions of aviation workers lost their jobs. We saw fire and rehire policies, and if the investors really cared, like the business owners and board members cared about the longevity of an aviation worker's career, then you'd think they'd be designing an industry that was built to last for the future and protected the very destinations that we know and love. And yeah, I feel ultimately, unless we take this new flight path, this different trajectory, you know, we're hurtling towards the edge of a cliff edge. The ICJ, International Court of Justice, has just made a landmark ruling, which is going to ensure that states and companies are going to be held accountable if they're not coming in line with a 1.5 degree world. And Heathrow, as you said, is going to be an estimated 4.4 million tonnes of additional CO2. That's not even counting the non-CO2 impacts. It's economic madness. It's a stranded asset, ultimately.
I have to say, I find it very, very difficult to reconcile an extra runway, hundreds of thousands of extra flights with being better for the planet than fewer runways and fewer flights. I have to say, I do struggle with that one. Todd, thanks very much for giving up your time. You are not alone. I have to say, there's quite a lot of love from the listeners on this idea of decentralising air travel, which, to be fair, Heidi Alexander has been minded to do, although perhaps using too many familiar airports. Maybe we should be looking at Farnborough, as one of our listeners has said. Apparently the runway there is very long.